I'm Bruce Edwards, again the business reporter for the Rutland Herald. If you're a news reporter, if you're a journalist, you're going to do interviews. You're either going to do interviews in person or you're going to do interviews over the phone. So being good at doing interviews, conducting interviews, is important. I guess the first thing, depending on the type of job you have or the type of reporting job, is doing some background information, do some research on the person you're going to interview. Now, it could be a hard news story. You could be covering City Hall. You could be interviewing the mayor. If you have the City Hall beat, you probably have a good background in what's going on at City Hall. So probably not a lot of background or research is needed. Now, I do some other reporting besides business reporting, and just to keep things fresh. And I recently did an interview with Tim Weiner of the New York Times, who wrote a best-selling book on the history of the CIA called Legacy of Ashes. He was appearing at one of the local bookstores, and so I didn't read the entire book, but I read enough to get a feel for the book, and I read some background information, other reviews on the book, and about his career. So when I did the telephone interview prior to his appearance at the bookstore, the local bookstore, I had a handle. I knew something about the history of the CIA beforehand, and his book certainly, it's a great book if you're interested in that kind of genre and that aspect of history. And so I guess not being too wordy, the best thing to do is to do a lot of research on a subject, especially if you're not familiar with that subject. And from that, you'll generate your own questions, and from there it just flows. And answers very often from subjects, from the person you're interviewing, will generate additional questions. I think one of the advantages you have in journalism, what makes it a great profession, is that you get to interview all kinds of people, even at a relatively small newspaper like the Rutland Herald. I can't tell you the number of people, the very interesting people, not only locally, but nationally and internationally, I've been able to interview over the years. I did a radio interview a long time ago on a talk show I hosted with Dave Thomas, who is the founder of Wendy's. He came to Rutland for a restaurant opening, of all things. So it's an exhilarating business, and it gives you a lot of satisfaction, and it's hardly boring. It's not a boring profession. It's not the greatest paying profession, but it certainly is far from boring, and it's the thing that keeps me going after all these years.